Because I'm still waiting for you to click that like button, and to subscribe, and the post notification button.
So in the great 2025, which was like a couple of days ago, I watched the Record of Ragnarok. And weirdly enough, I liked it. Cue the open. Nah, I need more energy. What does the YouTube algorithm like when you do intros? Oh, fake enthusiasm. I went and I watched an anime that no one in this world watches, Record of Ragnarok, arguably one of the most mysterious anime in humankind, and the mystery that unfolded will ultimately leave you in shock. Is that good enough? I actually watched Record of Ragnarok last year, which was a couple of days ago, and it was a weird experience for me because it's well documented that I do not like Record of Ragnarok, which is a weird contrast because in 2020 you couldn't tell me anything about this. I used to read it all the time and it was one of my favorites, but as soon as season 1 came out, I did not like it anymore, like most people, because it looked like this. I found myself being really confused because basically that manga kind of defined my entire year. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll watch season 2. You know, I won't tell anyone, but I'll watch season 2. Then I watched season 2 and then I decided, yeah, I'm not watching season 3.
If this dish was done right, it could be a game changer, but right now, it's a game ender.
But for some reason, near the end of the year, while I was like doing stuff on TikTok, shout out to my channel right here, plug. Why did I say that way? Jeez, I'm weird. But anyway, I was watching a TikTok and I saw a fight from season 3 and it kind of looked cool, but it was the generic, you know, the AI where it like talks in a monotone way or like it's translated. I don't know what they'd use. After I was done watching that clip, I was like, damn, that looks like a pretty cool fight, but I don't think I'm gonna actually watch the entire season. But then the next day I had free time. For some reason, I decided that I was actually gonna watch a few episodes because I was interested. As I started watching this season, I weirdly found myself finishing it, which didn't make sense because it was pretty much everything that made me give up on the anime. The animation looked like trash, and to be real with you, I don't think that it's a quality anime at all, but yet I just finished the entire season. Why? The thing about this anime is that I arguably think that this might be peak Brainrot or efficient Brainrot. And what I mean by this is that it has 3 things that make it super interesting. 1, it's you have a bunch of weird fights. Now, generally that just always clicks in your brain because you're watching a bunch of people fight, and even though the animation is not to the level that we expect at this point, it's decent. When you watch these fights, a lot of intrigue happens in your brain because you're watching these weird individuals get into fights and you're kind of captivated by what's happening because of the narrative and story, and it's always one of those things that kind of feel like they kind of feel like those videos you watch where they're like Hulk versus such and such, and then they tell you at the end what happens. You sort of feel like you don't need it in your life, but when you watch it and they show you the fake fight, you kind of wanted to see it. Ragnarok has that feeling about it. You feel like you should be watching it in some sense, and as such the fights are weirdly captivating despite the fact that they don't look that good. Then the second thing, and for me I think this is the most biggest pivot point for this anime, is that it appeals to a side of you that's a child basically, because it basically is a bunch of hypothetical fights between great figures and creatures and gods and demons. It's something that you used to think about when you were a kid. Now for me, I had different like matchups like Nelson Mandela versus Gandhi, but they took it to another level. This is what really makes this anime special, because within this season and within the other seasons, they often have these weird characters, because I think if they approach things with just the best gods or demons versus the best warriors, it would always be kind of
okay, meh.
But they always have like weird picks, like a person who was a philosopher or an engineer or like someone who shouldn't be fighting, but for some reason they're just so smart that they find a way to win. And it's incredibly weird, but it's really captivating. I watched a fight in which Tesla was fighting Beelzebub, and it was fire, and that kind of just reminded me of a side of you that you lose way later in life because you don't have time for hypothetical fights like that anymore. But this anime really appeals to a side of you that's younger, to see random fights and to see these weird characters find ways to beat gods and demons in a sense, but generally gods. It doesn't make sense, but by the end of it you have fun, which is the most weirdest part, because the one that really kind of tested my moral compass was the fact that they had Jack the Ripper in season 2 representing humanity. You know, the Jack Ripper who Yeah, him, who was never found as well. I was very confused as to what he'd look like because no one knows what he looks like. They showed him and he looks like some old silver-haired dude. Either way, it was weird cheering for Jack the Ripper, who is a serial unaliver in real life, fighting for humanity. But it kind of made sense. And that's the thing about this anime that kind of always just confuses me. It really is brain rot, but like in a weird, efficient way, because they take it beyond what you think they should, but it kind of links a little bit to the story of that character and what happens. And as such, I found myself having sympathy or just a level of connection with the serial unaliver who was running rampant that no one ever found. And that was season 2. In season 3, there's a bunch of other people. There's Leonidas from 300. Shout out to him. He was buns.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here.
Appealing thing about these fights is that you're watching humans in a sense go against gods. This is something that you think about all the time when you're younger. What would happen when a human being is able to fight or break down a god? And I think that in a lot of fiction, that has been something that has captured the imagination for the longest time. And this anime appeals to that part of your brain that you kind of just put away because you're older and you shouldn't really be thinking about that. I still think about Nelson Mandela versus Gandhi. I just want to see it. Just let him fight. I just want to see it. That's something that made this anime intriguing to watch. But the third thing that made it really interesting and special is that it passed the food test. Now, as someone who watches subs, it's really hard for me at the same time to eat and then read and then like look. It's difficult. Even just watching an anime in general, being able to capture the words and then like still see the scene can be hard. But then trying to eat at the same time, it's hard. But this anime really works well, and the main reason is that the writing is so not complex that you can actually watch something in sub, eat, miss something, and you still feel like you know what's happening. And that was something that I weirdly enjoyed, because every single time I had a snack to eat or like food to eat, I kind of was like, I could watch this anime right now actually, and it's fun to watch while eating. And I think that these three create basically a trifecta of efficient brain rot. I had a fun time with it. In fact, time just passes by so fast when you watch this season. It's actually really weird. This kind of then left me in a really confused position. Once in a while, you're gonna come across an anime that you know is not really critically good, but you watch it and you enjoy it. And this is the most conflicting thing about making this entire video. I know that within my soul I had fun. I know that I enjoyed the journey, and it's something I'll think about from time to time. In fact, I'm excited for the next season because I want to see it now. But will I, as a person who's trying to, well, be reasonably respectable in terms of anime, tell people to watch this anime? I think I'm at that point where I can make bad decisions. Yeah, watch this anime.